Ruslan.
Outside from the dungeon like it's summertime. Sunshine, look, we ain't gotta run it by. Anyway, they all flip like the number 9. That's why, look, we ain't gotta run it by. Sunshine. Why you wanna go there? Living for the approval of man will get you nowhere. For real, why you wanna go there? Living for the approval of man will get you nowhere. Can't stay indoors so long, you get plus size. Only ones outside are all the tough guys. Never had my beard to ever hold. Was it a daydream or vision? Like I don't really know, but I saw the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. On a mount of transfiguration, I couldn't wake up. Feeling hopeless, then I saw Elijah and Moses. A bright cloud that overshadowed, that's when I had noticed. My life apart from the Messiah is utterly hopeless. Wrote eternity in my heart, yet I'm lacking the focus. In the moment, I gotta overcompensate by building tabernacles. While the world is rubbernecking, Eve wanted an Adam's apple. Whoa there, why you wanna go there? Time to shut the door, cause we letting out all the cold air. Life's a treadmill, you moving but going nowhere fast. The type to book a flight just cause the low fare. You know that won't last, and you don't wanna go there thinking that it's a dash. But I can take the slow stairs, I can take the scenic route. You gon' see what we about, and when you factor in all the traffic, it's gon' even out. Outside from the dungeon like it's summertime. Sunshine, look, we ain't gotta run it by. Anyway, they all flip like the number 9. That's why, look, we ain't gotta run it by. Why you wanna go there? Living for the approval of man will get you nowhere. For real, why you wanna go there? Living for the approval of man will get you nowhere. Outside from the dungeon like it's summertime. Sunshine, look, we ain't gotta run it by. Anyway, they all flip like the number 9. That's why, look, we ain't gotta run it by. Anybody besides God, more than a lifestyle, this is the vanguard. I'm trying to make Van Goghs, you won't see this man stroke. Y'all talking who's canceled, I'm asking who sampled this, whose man is this? Answer me this, riddle me that. Why your favorite rapper only make you dance slow? Never mind. Or slow dance, like when you tryna hold hands with your first crush, thinking life is like a romance comedy. But even hits rock Chris audibly. The oddity is obviously meaning you got no chance. So why you tripping on me being old-fashioned? Before I make my wife work, I'd be outdoor dashing. There you go, spazzing. The red pill hates you, yet I unplugged out of the matrix and remain faithful to my God who stays able. My soul's passion for you to see the sunshine, and it ain't closed caption, meaning the word is alive and active. You out your ever-loving mind if you think God is some old has-been. Who you calling when your soul crashing? Magic Sky Daddy riding around town playing more Maverick. So let's skip the cognitive dissonance now. You already know Christ is real, stop fooling around.
Las Vegas, join me, and some of you guys might be familiar with my boy Ruslan KD.
Las Vegas, join me for the Christian Influencers Convention happening July 26th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
We'll be doing a panel with some of the top influencers in the country, as well as a private, intimate meet and greet.
You can get tickets and more information by hitting the Eventbrite link below.
Don't miss this opportunity to come and hang out and spend some time with some of your favorite Christian influencers.
All in the beautiful city of Las Vegas. July 26th, I'll see you over there. Peace.
I'll see you there. What do you mean?
Ruslan.
We are live! Hey yo, before you come in, take your shoes off. Get your super chats ready. Your questions are getting answered live. But first, shout out to the patrons and the channel members. Check it out, never miss the after party again. Sign up right now on Patreon for as little as $5 a month and access every replay. Put it in the budget. I'm telling you, we are essential. Y'all already know what time it is. Welcome to the after party with Ruslan.
Ruslan.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. A beautiful time. A different time today. We are live. And I need you to tap in with your location and tell us where you're watching this from.
because today we are taking your calls live. So let me know where you're watching us from. I want to hear from you. We got Netherlands, Tennessee, Springfield, Oregon, Celeste from San Marcos, Dallas, Texas, Lagos, Nigeria. I count 3 different continents. South Africa, Portugal, Jersey, Manhattan, South City, Paris, France. Hey, Paris, France, I'm trying to pull up. You think we can do a meetup? Curious how many people will pull up to a meetup in Paris, France, and in London. I need to get out there. Portland, Oregon, South Carolina, Dansbury, Connecticut. Excuse me, I almost said Kentucky. Maui by way of Oceanside, Mississippi's in the house. Raleigh, North Carolina's in the house. Flint, Michigan. A lot of Mississippi. Dallas, Vegas. I'm going to be in Vegas July 26th, Sabine. Make sure you pull up. Come hang out with me and What Do You Mean? Detroit is in the house. Pennsylvania is in the house. Boogie Down Bronx. Jamaica. Let me know where you're watching us from. Pennsylvania. Tap in with your location, and I need you right now. I need you right now to obliterate that like button. Destroy that like button. Franklin, Tennessee. Livermore, California. Ireland, Germany. Wow. Come on. Tap in with your location. I know you can't see me. You're not supposed to see me yet. You're not supposed to see me yet. Let's get to 100 likes real quick. I need everybody to obliterate the like button one time for the YouTube algorithm. Destroy that like button. Sacramento's in the house. All right, I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know where you're watching this from. A little bonus Friday stream. As you know, we are moving to a 4-day work week. We're going to be uploading, doing stuff 5 days a week, but the streaming will be happening 4 days a week, and we're almost there. Zach's coming back next week. All right, so I'm super excited for Mr. Picasso, Mr. Zach Sparazzo to be back. All right, so today we're doing something different. The lines are open for our online community, and we are going to be taking some of their calls. This is honestly my highlight of what I get to do here is taking calls, talking to you guys, because it keeps me on my toes, keeps me closer to the issues that I feel like the people who watch this channel are dealing with. All right, someone's claiming they're from Antarctica. I call cap on that. Kenya's in the house. Okay, couple housekeeping things real quick. Thursday I am in. Where am I at? There's the camera. Thursday, I am, you hit the Patreon link pinned up, all right? And then you sign up there and you call in. That's how you do it. Yes, it's for our Patreon community, our OGs. Shout out to the mods. Okay. Thursday, I am in Arizona. So if you're anywhere near Arizona, I need you to pull up. This Thursday, coming up, I am speaking at Rock Point Young Adults, okay? So Thursday, I think it's at 7 o'clock, all right? So Rock Point Young Adults, Thursday, 7 o'clock. I cannot wait. I have a talk I've been doing, part testimony, and I'm very excited. So if you would like to pull up, come Thursday to Arizona. Shout out to Drew for the super chat. I appreciate you. I'd love to come on your podcast and give my testimony. I had a stroke at 7 and was paralyzed and mute. By the grace of God, I'm alive. Praise God, Drew. Thank you so much, man. Arizona, California, or California, Arizona? Did I say California, Arizona? Arizona, Gilbert, Arizona, or I think it's Quarry Creek, Arizona. It's in the Phoenix area. All right, in the Phoenix area. Did I really say that, Eric? Thank you for correcting me. Father's Day, I am in Houston, Texas. So if you're anywhere near Houston, Texas, come hang out with your guy. I'm gonna be there Sunday, Father's Day, was that June 18th? All right. And then, of course, July 26th, I am in Las Vegas. Well, my guy, what do you mean? And we're working on something in Southern California. We're working on something in Southern California with me and potentially KB and Amin for a live podcast event, okay? For a live podcast event. So coming to Arizona in the summer is dangerous. I mean, going anywhere in the summer nowadays is dangerous, all right? Tampa area is in the house. That's what's up. Running the panning camera is a little fast and slow, maybe slow down, maybe. Oh, I like the fast. You don't like the fast? I like the movement, baby. I would love to deliver some people there. How do people book you to come to my city? I think you can go to kingsdreament.com/booking. Here, I'll show you guys. That's a good question. First of all, before we get into how you can book me, you can scoop up some merch, some Yahshua's Dream merch. This hoodie is back on sale. It was sold out, and if you were here yesterday, you would have got a killer deal on it. The price unfortunately went up. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Christopher, we'll get into some freestyles later, but the whole shop is restocked, except, ironically enough, this hoodie is sold out, but we have it in a different color. Okay, so we got it in brown. We got a couple browns left. All right, we're waiting on the leggings, sir. I know. Okay, so if you ever want to book me for anything, there's a weird feedback loop. I'm gonna go to. I used to have bookRuslan.com, but I think it's just kingsdreament.com/booking. All right, kingsdreament.com/booking. Book Ruslan. You could tell me what type of booking it is. Some people want to do like a virtual interview for their podcast. Some people want to do in-person interview. Some people want some consulting and some help. Some people want me to come speak. Some people may want a rap verse. All of that is here. You put in all your information, all right, and then you hit submit, and we get back to you really quick, all right? So that is how you can book me for your event. kingsdreament.com/booking. kingsdreament.com/booking. All right, we got our first call. Ladies and gentlemen, okay? So tap in with your location if you're just tuning in. This is going to be a fun conversation. Never know how these go live, so it's always, kind of hanging on the edge of your seat. Hopefully, my guy Parnell's internet works well. I'm going to bring him into the chat. Yo, can you hear me? Man's on that ATT internet Wi-Fi. He just muted himself. Okay, I'm going to bring him back when he... can you hear me, bud? Your internet's really bad, my guy. Yeah, his internet's terrible. Okay, I'm sorry. How do we call in? Look, there's a link pinned up at the very top of the chat. Moderators, can you do me a solid? Drop the link again. It is to our online community. There, you can call in. The link is to our eCam, okay? Please call in when you're not driving and when you're somewhere that has good internet, okay? Call in when you're not driving and somewhere that has good internet. Can you guys do that for me if you want to call in? And so, yeah, you can call in right now. McDonald's Wi-Fi. I feel like, the Starbucks Wi-Fi be hitting. But the McDonald's Wi-Fi, I can't, I don't eat McDonald's. So I have no idea. How good or bad. What's eCam? eCam is a software that I use that people can call into, okay? It's like a built-in version of Zoom inside of the software that we use. All right? Make sense? Driving under the influence of Ruslan. What are you going to call for anyways? What am I going to call for? I'm not calling. You get to call. If you have questions, I'm taking your calls today. That's what we're doing. It's a different type of stream. We're taking your calls. You're the star, and you're the topic of today's stream. Isn't that awesome? That's amazing. I think that's amazing. Okay? So anyway, the link is pinned up. In NYC, we Subway Wi-Fi or Starbucks Wi-Fi. Listen, I haven't been in New York in a while. Have I been in New York since after the pandemic? I have been to New York. Is this every Friday? This is when we can do it. Sometimes it's every Friday. Sometimes it's once a month. It's hard to tell. We've done it twice in the last week. So sometimes it might be twice a week. Just depends on what we got in the docket. This week we got ahead. All right, we got ahead. I streamed the Chick-fil-A live while driving. Respect. Do I have to pay on Patreon to be able to call in? Yes, you do. That is for our online community. And we want all you guys on Patreon because if we can just get 1% of the folks over to our online community, okay, that literally changes everything about what we're doing here, and it'll allow us to scale even faster. I'm going to the concert this weekend. What concert? Are you planning on a Youth Group Chronicles collab? Yes, actually, they're June. They're going to be out here this month. Jamaica, Queens. If you had a radio station, I'd listen, but I like YouTube, so no complaints. You guys got to pay if you want to play. Come on now. Eric knows what time it is. Yeah, so Youth Group Chronicles coming in June. Who else is coming? John Gabbana might be coming out in June. Who else is coming? We just had Lila Rose. That's on Patreon right now. Who else? Zuby's on Patreon right now. Okay. Who else have we had? We got some big stuff planned. I don't want to give away too much, but some good stuff planned. All right. The devil spoke my name in a movie. What should I do about this? You should go get help. It sounds like you're going through a psychotic issue. And this is, by the way, questions like that is why we put stuff like this behind a paywall. Because he'll call in and they'll get weird. All right. And so if you're hearing your name in a movie, that means you're probably going through a psychotic episode and you should go get help immediately. That's what you should do. Okay? That's what you should do. And we get, we understand folks are dealing with different issues and mental illness is absolutely real. But that is what I would recommend you do. Have you read John Word's testimony book yet? I have not yet. I don't know who that is, if I'm honest with you. Do you like The Chosen? I do. I do like The Chosen, and I'm friends with Dallas Jenkins and Darryl Eves, who are the executive producers of The Chosen. Okay, let's see, hold on. I love when people pull up and just think they can hijack the chat. That's fascinating. Can we suggest other guests to have on your podcast? Is that a thing? You could always suggest. I just have to know who they are. Sometimes I don't really know who they are. Some folks will be like, get such and such and so and so. Now in our Patreon Discord, people drop videos all the time, and sometimes those videos will lead to me discovering a creator, and then that will lead me to be connecting with the creator. Collab with the Bible Project. I would love to collab with the Bible Project. I feel like they're not very easy to get a hold of. The Bible Project. Like, I don't know how to get somebody a hold of there. Can you debate Fresh and Fit? I've tried. They don't want the smoke, unfortunately. But I've tried. We've been working on that for a while, and they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. All right, let's get my guy Kenny G. Thank you for the super chat, my brother. He said, Ruslan, how can I get with you about using one of your songs for my gaming channel outro, if possible? Kid-friendly content. Huge fan. Appreciate you, brother. You reach out to MusicBed. MusicBed.com handles all my catalog, except the last 2 songs I put out. So MusicBed.com is all the past stuff, and then the new ones, they're going to have that up soon as well. So they handle all of our, that's called a micro sync, and they handle all of our micro sync. Thank you for the super chat, brother. But yeah, so MusicBed.com. Okay, catching up on you guys' comments. What's your favorite food? It depends. I would say ideally a nice filet mignon steak. Right now, that's what I'm on right now. Did Abba and Preach agree to collab? Anastasia, they actually, Abba sent me a voice note and actually, I don't say requested, but talked about doing a collab. So yes, when that'll happen, I don't know. Destiny is going to be here at the end of the month. Talking about Abba and Preach, Destiny will be here at the end of the month. He just texted me back and said that he wants to do something. So. Abba and Preach, hopefully. I don't know when. I told him I'd be down to come to Montreal. I've always wanted to go to Montreal. So yeah, Abba and Preach. What's your favorite? What do you hear of? You ever hear of Cliff and Stewart? No. Try Alyssa Childress for a video. I think I have a long time ago, and I don't think she wanted to talk to me. Do you think collabing live with other channels is going to grow? Do you think collabing live with other channels is going to grow? Is going to grow what? Do I think collabing is a good way to grow? Yes. Ruslan gets Sam Shamoon on the channel. He's in SoCal too. No, wait, Sam's in SoCal? No, Sam's not in SoCal. That's not right, is it? I would love to get Sam on. I didn't know he was in SoCal. Random question. Have you ever seen He Gets His commercials, and do you think they're doing a good job helping start a conversation with believers, non-believers alike? Yes, I've seen them. I think I did a video about them a long time. I'm supposed to sit down with Chris Broussard, who is one of the folks over there, when I go to New York next. What's your favorite song that you've made or been a part of? Probably some of the new stuff I'm working on that hasn't came out yet. Destiny is a big leftist debater who is really solid on like red pill issues. I debated him on abortion and God on No Jumper. So if you haven't seen that, go back and watch that. How long have you been saved? 21, 22 years. Have you seen the TikTok Ted Bundy admitting that a lot of sexual molesters and killers are addicted to porn? No. Brandon, what up, my guy? Snipe life in the house. My guy, Brandon Snipe. You're going to be at Vid Summit, Texas in October. Probably not, unless I'm paid to be there or flown out to be there. What happened to the Christian dating show idea? I just haven't had time to do it. I want to do it with newlywed couples. And I honestly think it would be good to do it that way. But unfortunately, that requires one additional layer for me to get someone in here, and yeah. But I got a couple couples that are down to come in. I just honestly need to do it. And I'm also trying not to work weekends. Since we've gotten to the new house, I haven't been working weekends. What's your favorite interview you've done so far? Oh, goodness. Probably the Eric Thomas one. I think that was a fun conversation. All right. Has your stance changed on women being pastors? Again, Alex, questions like that require specificity. What do you mean by pastors? Lead pastors, elders, overseers? No, my plan is not, my position has not changed on that. What's a good place to eat in San Diego? Oh, there's tons, Nancy. There's tons. Depends on what you want. The Destiny debate was legendary. Thank you. Yeah, and again, he'll be on the channel soon. Any interest hopping on modern day debates? Yeah, like I said, I'm going to have Destiny on soon. I'm going to have Destiny on very soon. End of the month. I have the same question as Anthony. I want to start my Christian channel. I'm late. Geez, what a goober mistake. It's all good. If you guys want to call in, you can. The link is pinned up. A lot of you guys want to be social media influencers. That is awesome. I could talk about that. If you want me to talk about being a social media influencer, drop a 1 in the chat. I could talk about that. My take on it is going to be very different than you probably are expecting. Would you ever consider writing a Christian hip hop musical? No. I'm just not into musicals like that. My wife is into musicals. How do I start my channel? A lot of you guys want to know how to start your channel. Okay. Drop a 1 if you guys want me to talk about that. Fresh health food. Fresh health food? There's a I think our definitions of fresh health food. I would say top of mind, I just went to a place called Cafe 333 that has a great steak. I actually took Zuby there. And yeah. John Ward thank you for the super chat, Shannon. John Ward is friends with Kirk Kennedy. He wrote a book called Testimony, and it's him behind the curtain at the White House. You would love him. Okay. I gotta hit up Kirk Kennedy. Is it possible to do deliverance on yourself? Huh. I don't know. That's a question for the deliverance guys. What's your takes on music that have Christian messages in sports but morally wrong in other areas? It would depend. Daily routine vlog? No, you don't. My daily routine is so boring. My daily routine is so boring. Yeah. I could do one. You guys just be like, yo, this man lives the most boring life ever. Thoughts on everything or the Dodgers and Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Nick, I think it's interesting that they're doing that and then doing like a faith night right after. It just seems like they're trying to pander to everybody. That's my initial impression, is they're trying to pander to everybody. Okay. I love your content, bro. We need more like you. You inspired me so much. Thank God for you. This isn't a question, but I just want to say that I got an instructor position in Healthcare Academy in my high school. Been working to get that for years. Congratulations, Eric. That's amazing, my guy. All right, so let's talk about being a Christian influencer. You guys said you wanted me to talk about that. All right, here's the thing. Christian influencing. What is my thoughts on being a Christian influencer? Now, of course, they surveyed young people, and now the number one thing a lot of young people want to be when they grow up is a YouTuber or an influencer of some kind. Very interesting. The tension there is, what is the desire to become an influencer? What is it? What is a desire underneath the desire? Like underneath the career, what is the point? If we're looking at like, what's the thing underneath the thing, right? So if we're talking about being a Christian influencer, I think the question becomes, why do you think you should be influential? That's foundationally. Why do you think you can be influential? Historically, how people became influencers is through going and doing something noteworthy or remarkable. And then as a byproduct, influence came historically. It's only within, I'd say, the last 10 years where people were famous just for being famous. Probably started with like reality TV and the Kardashians. It's like, what do they actually do? Like, what are their actual mechanics, right? What is the practical side of what they do? So I think this is an interesting dilemma, right? This is an interesting dilemma. Yeah, Jersey Shore, that's a good reference. So if you want to be an influencer, what are you really saying? You want to be famous? You want to be famous for the sake of being famous? I don't know if that's a scriptural position to have. It's like wanting to be rich for the sake of being rich, right? Now, I have no issues with being rich or being famous, for the record. I have issues with people that want to be rich and famous for the sake of being rich and famous. It's like wanting to be rich for Jesus. Let's think through that a bit, right? Here's what I think the objective should be for anyone doing anything. I think the objective should be you are desiring to be effective at something. You are desiring to be effective at something, and then the byproduct of being effective at something, you are then an influencer. You're influencing someone to go somewhere and do something that you yourself have done. Drew, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Right? So if we're talking about being an influencer, what are you doing or hoping to do that can inspire, equip, encourage, educate, so on and so forth, to get people to give you their most rare commodity, which is their attention? What is it that you're doing that is adding a net positive to the world and has some sort of utility? And I think the issue that I'm seeing is sometimes folks just want to be famous and rich for the sake of being famous and rich without any undergirding. And the thing is, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. All the people that I know that are famous or rich, without anything underneath that guiding that, is usually they tend not to be in good spaces and good places and good spiritual realities. So my thoughts on all of this is, find something to be great at. Find something to be great at, and then do it for so long that it becomes unreasonable for you not to be successful. And if it is in the right micro niche or whatever, the byproduct of that will be influence and fame and money. But sometimes money doesn't come with fame, and sometimes fame doesn't come with money. Sometimes you could have neither and still be living an amazing, content, godly life. Like I had Eric Thomas on, and he said, it's only in this generation that people who are well off financially and in stable marriages and doing well still feel this pressure of needing to be known by the world, right? And the more you acquire these things, the more you realize that it's like that Jim Carrey quote, I wish everyone could be rich and famous for one day so that they could realize that it's not everything it's cracked up to be, right? So my advice to anyone who's looking to be an influencer is, what have you first done in your personal life? What have you done for other people that is worthy of influence? And can you scale that. So what have you done in your personal life? What have you done for other people that is worthy of influence? Right? And yeah, of course, money is a tool and influence is a tool, all that stuff. All that stuff. Shout out to Pastor Savage 85 for first time in the live. Thank you for being here. So with being an influencer, I think sometimes we go about it backwards. We want the fame and the influence without first having anything of worthy influence, right? So once you figure that out, then you can work your way backwards to the conversation. And I think there are varieties of influence and there are spectrums that we can operate within. And so my quote unquote influence grew slowly over time, over decades. And it was initially of making music and helping other people make music. And that was, I guess, a form of escapism, right? A form of escapism. And then through music and giving people an outlet or a way to think about something else, you start making music that's inspirational and giving people hope and giving people excitement. So some people make music that's cathartic and it's gloomy and dark and sad and it makes them feel like they can relate to somebody. People make music of all kinds of. So, but initially it was music, and then because I was good at music, people tuned into the YouTube, and then with the YouTube, the value proposition kind of became, hey, I'm someone that's been walking with Jesus for 20 years. I'm well versed enough in theology and the Bible and in apologetics, and I could help people think through different cultural topics, meaning based on my life experience, people care what I have to think and have to say about different things. And it becomes how can I process this? Oh, I wonder what Ruslan thinks about it, because he tends to have a pretty good take on things. He tends to have a pretty balanced approach to things. That was the second layer of value. The third layer of value would be oh, and Ruslan has interesting people that he likes to converse with that don't think like he does and don't agree everything what he agrees in. Oh, I want to hear what a conversation with him and, Tim Ross would sound like. Because I know Ruslan is friends with Tim Ross, but Tim Ross is friends with Mike Todd, and Ruslan isn't really right with Mike Todd, a celebrity pastor. I wonder what that conversation would be like. That's the next level of advice, the next level of influence, right? And so it's the same way. Somebody said it's I feel like Joe Rogan is a budding Christian. What do you think? I don't know about Joe Rogan being a Christian, but the Joe Rogan is a good parallel, right? It's like media, entertainment, acting, comedy, podcast, interesting person. So if you're trying to be an influencer who's a Christian or a Christian influencer, whatever you want to call it, I would say first go out and figure out what value proposition you have to add. And that might take some time. And we have I think it's mastermyniche.com, little course, free course you can go through to help you figure out what are the areas that you're good at, what are the areas that there's opportunity in the marketplace, and what are the areas that what are the areas you're passionate about? It's going to be the overlap of what are you passionate about, what are you good at, and what's the opportunity in the marketplace. Some of you guys could be good at being influencers strictly on the merit that you're good storytellers. That's fine too. Some of you guys could be influencers strictly on the merit that you're funny. That's fine too. But you notice that all of these different things, there's something else attached to influence. And it's usually the thing underneath it that drives the influence. It's not the influence that makes somebody funny. It's the opposite. It's you're funny, therefore you can become a character online, and you see what I mean? And so that is how these sorts of things grow. In my opinion, I don't think you start out trying to be influential. I think you start out trying to be effective. And if you're effective, the byproduct of being effective is you are influential. Sometimes we get it backwards. You get what I'm saying? Be effective, and then you will be influential and successful. But if you're trying to be influential and successful without first being effective and good at something. So I'll give you an example. I'm toying with the idea of starting Mastermind My Fitness. Celeste, thank you so much for the super chat, sis. I appreciate you dearly. I'm toying with the idea of starting a fourth channel, mastermyfitness.com. Why? Well, because I had this amazing fitness transformation, and it would serve twofold. One, I think I could talk about fitness from someone that was just not fit 4 months ago and simplify it. and I could talk about it in a way that keeps me accountable to remaining fit, right? So it's a win-win. But it's on the back of, well, I just had this physical transformation, right? I just had this physical transformation. I'm going to continue down this road. I know if I make content about it, it'll be a feedback loop and keep me accountable to it, and I could help other people about it. But the key is, I'm actually not an expert on fitness. I know more than the average person, but I can lean into other people's expertise and platform other people. That's a win-win-win-win. I could point to other people that love Jesus and are into fitness. I can keep myself accountable to remaining fit, and I can put I can help bring value to other people that don't really know how to go from like Kenny, my guy Kenny here says, how he went from being obese to in shape in over 6 years. Right? There's a value proposition on the back of me going and doing that, on the back of me going from being obese to being 170 pounds and my abs now show, right? So you see what I mean? So it's like, I think you got to go and do stuff and accomplish stuff and then go back and say, okay, I figured this out for myself. Maybe I can help other people figure it out just based on my experience. James Anthony said, I'm willing to do interviews with people who don't share my beliefs. That's awesome. The flip side to that is you first have to have a reason for people that want to sit down with you and do interviews, unless you're just willing to cash flow it. Then the game becomes go build a business in some other area and hire people that you want to influence and pay them, or hire people you want to interview and pay them. I'm not in the music industry. No. And so that's another way, right? So a different way people can become influencers is the Ryan Pineda, Alex Hormozi route. They go and build massive businesses. They do something that's very difficult to do, and then they go tell other people how they did it and help other people do it. Right? That's another way you can do it. That's another way you can look at it. The difference there is they have the cash flow to hire someone and pay them to make the content, and they have the expertise of doing it. That's another way to do it. I didn't really do it that way. I did accomplishment in very small areas. I got to building a 6-figure independent music business. Okay, great. I had a lot of friends that are interesting, so I wanted to talk to them. Great. But that's a different approach. I built it we built it as we built it. Like we built it as we were flying it, right? So the same thing, but other folks go and build it, and then they build the influence because they have the resources. Muhammad Baba said, hey, thanks for your videos. I have moved from atheism to embracing Christianity. How do I decide which denomination I should join? Oh, that's a great question. For me, I would like to say that I don't have a strong allegiance to any denomination. So I would find communities that you connect with and find people that lock in on the essentials of the faith and grow in those areas. I'm a Protestant, so for me that's going to be being a Protestant. You know, okay. So hopefully this is helping in terms of being a Christian influencer, right? Bless God should be a thing with belief in a Sean Cannell. Bless God, Khan should be a thing with you believe in Sean Cannell. We'll see, maybe someday. Should I pursue a career that will make me a lot of money even if I don't enjoy it? I would say no. I would say no. Podcasting channel or niche channel with everyone starting to try to be a YouTuber? Both. I think both. Right? I think both. I think you find a niche that's broad enough, but you podcast and live stream and do YouTube all at the same time. Live streaming, live podcasting, I think is the next iteration, in my opinion, right? Which is basically what we're doing here. There's always room. Yeah, it's not a zero-sum game. It's not a zero-sum game. So that is how I would look at the Christian influencer route. Is I think we need more people to go do something, accomplish something, and then be influential on the back of that instead of just trying to be an influencer. Because if you're just an influencer and there's no depth, a couple things will happen to you. Audience capture will happen to you, where you do something that works and then the audience captures you instead of you capturing an audience. You'll realize that you don't really know what you're talking about. And so then you will deal with imposter syndrome. You might get rich and not know how to handle the money, not know how to handle taxes. Oh boy, are there so many people that I know that are struggling with taxes and that kind of stuff. And the last one is you might just be poor forever because you don't know what you're doing, because you have no value to offer, and you're not self-aware enough to know you don't have no value to offer, and then therefore you drive your family into the wall. You drive your family into the ground. You drive your finances into the ground. Those are some of the cautionary things I would say. Thank you to my guy Ryan MC for the $100 super chat. The big spender. Holy moly. Thanks for the great content. God is good. Much love from Orange County. Oh, let's go, man. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. So some cautionary things to consider about being a quote-unquote Christian influencer. I didn't set out to be a Christian influencer. I just made things that I thought would be helpful and valuable, and then by proxy, my audience grew and I became influential. But the objective was not to be a Christian influencer. I just made stuff that I thought was dope and I thought could help people. Initially, it was marketing advice. I've always talked about health and fitness, and then it kind of pivoted over to reaction videos. Podcasting and reaction now is where I'm at, and I still make music. All right? Okay. Is that good? Hopefully that was good. Okay. The lines are still open. We're going to start wrapping up. I'm going to hit a couple more of these questions because I think they're good. Nick asks a great question. He said, this isn't a slight in any way, just curious, but is the YouTube algorithm the reason why your thumbnails and video titles tend to be more reactionary? Do these perform better than simply titled ones? Yeah, I mean, look at this video, right? Taking your calls live, or the videos that are just very direct. This is what the stream is about. People aren't as intrigued. And so if you don't have something that people already care about, then you're definitely not going to be able to reach people. And that kind of is what it is. That is YouTube. The interesting thing about this conversation is, would you disciple Ja Morant? That's an interesting conversation. The interesting thing about this conversation is, if you actually think about it, YouTube is just a microcosm of humans, and humans tend to be into something that has basic storytelling. Every good story has setup, conflict, resolution. Everything, including the scriptures, setup, conflict, resolution. So the difference in YouTube is that it's not a film studio. This isn't a movie that's being marketed and pushed on you. This is a guy who built a multi-six-figure business doing everything. I'm in this room by myself. You see what I'm saying? So when you're talking about setup, conflict, resolution, it's the same formula. It's the reason why you would go see a movie. It's the reason why you would go watch Netflix. It's the reason why you would go listen to that album. It's the reason why you would go listen to that podcast. It's all the same thing. It's all setup, conflict, resolution. With YouTube, it's independent creators and creative entrepreneurs that get to drive something that has forever been gatekeeped. In Hollywood, it's gatekeeped by the studio. In music, it's gatekeeped by the major record labels. And now with social media, things are slowly changing, and the YouTube is evening out the gatekeeping, right? But the thing that we don't want to do is you don't want to act like you're bigger than the platform. You got to respect the platform. So if I'm on TikTok, I'm not going to give you a 10-minute video on TikTok or on Instagram Reels. I mean, you can't on Instagram Reels. I know a platform I'm on. People are swiping. They want quick bursts of stuff. So our stuff there is shorter. The format is different. Notice the format is actually less. On Instagram and TikTok, we intentionally don't make videos about other people in a negative way, in any negative way. Why? Because there's little room for nuance there. Because that's not good for short form. In a long form video, I can give you multiple sides of an angle. I can say I disagree with this person without personally attacking them and coming off like I'm dunking on somebody. It's very difficult to do that in a 60 to 90 second video. So I respect the platform. I try to use the platform in the most ethical way. But everything is going to come down to setup, conflict, resolution, right? Everything is going to come down to setup, conflict, resolution. If you want to make anything that has a story in it, tension brings attention. So the proof is in the pudding, and there's very few platforms that avoid all of that and are able to be successful, it's usually by people who are advanced in other areas of expertise. So like the Bible Project, right? They can just do stuff about the Bible. Why? Well, because Tim Mackey's a brilliant Bible teacher who went and got his degree in Hebrew and is super duper educated. You see where I'm going with this? I'm using Tim Ross, not an endorsement of everything Tim Ross has said, but you look at Tim Ross and it's like their approach is different. Why? Well, because Tim Ross is a decade older than me and he is a great conversationalist and orator. So it's interesting. And he already had a bit of a platform with kind of being an iterate pastor at other churches. So YouTube is what it is. Like that it is what it is. My objective with YouTube is to not make content that exclusively dunks on other people. My objective with YouTube is to make what I would call net positive content, that even if I'm disagreeing with someone or I'm disagreeing with a position, I don't personally attack them, right? Which could be challenging because the stuff that leads in media is what bleeds in media. That's why when you watch the news, it's the most horrific, terrible things you could ever think of. We get those things, and right, but that is media, unfortunately. Anyway, thank you for David for the super chat. He says, I'm a father of a young family, and I'm curious, what have you found to be a good way to lead your family in devotions? We have 4 little ones from 10 to 2. Keeping your attention can be challenging. I honestly read the room. And I just go, if my kids are tired, we're not going to do praise reports and prayer requests. I will just pray for them. And that's it. If they're not as tired, we'll do praise reports, prayer requests. Everybody will go around. They'll get to share as many praise reports for the day and then prayer requests. And then if it's earlier in the day and we can get in the Bible, me and my son will sit down and we'll do a verse-by-verse study. We're about halfway through the book of Romans. His name is Levi, so he likes going into Leviticus. So honestly, David, I think you got to read the room. That could be difficult when you got I got an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 2-year-old. That could be very difficult to read the room on how to communicate on a wide spectrum. You understand what I'm saying? Like that. And so I more so read the room, and then I also do my best to have conversations with them one-on-one as well, because not everything is age appropriate for every kid. Not everything is age appropriate for every kid. Okay? So that's my, that's my big quick advice. What is the biggest lie you were told when you grew up? You got to give me, that's a great question, but you got to give me some more time to think about that. Probably something about like you have to go to college to be successful. I would say something along those lines. All right. Hey, different topic, but any general advice in the area of engagement, going through a rough one and not feeling confident to move forward? I've met with multiple pastors. It's become a mess. Are you talking about like engagement to get married? Oh man. A lot of premarital counseling, a lot of couples counseling, therapy, that sort of thing. That would be what I would point you to. Is that, I don't know. I think it's tough because sometimes we have an idealistic view of relationships, and women want the Disneyland, the Disney version, men want the men's version of and I want to know that I know, but that's not how marriage is. Like if you're getting into a marriage with the hope that I am going to be in this lovey-dovey state, like that's just not it. And so I think I would be asking more macro questions of like, is this someone that I could spend the rest of my life with? Is this someone that loves Jesus? What kind of parent would they be? Those sorts of questions, right? Those sorts of questions. Please grow a mushroom cut? No. All right, let's hit some other questions here. Josh asked a good question. What are your thoughts on the church not speaking out and pushing back on the LGBTQ community and how they're pushing their agenda? Why do you think the church is hesitant to speak against what is evil? I don't know. Well, first of all, I mean, the church that's such a broad statement, right, Josh? Like, what do you mean by the church? I think if we look at the ministry of Jesus and we look at the ministry of the apostles and we look at even the scriptures themselves, and we take an inventory of how often is Paul writing and overtly speaking out against certain sins out of all the verses. Like if we were to take all of Paul's verses, hypothetically speaking, all of Paul's verses, all of Jesus's verses, everything Jesus ever said, everything Paul ever said, everything that's in the book of Acts. What percentage of that? This would actually be a fun study. You should do this, Josh. You should really do this. What percentage of that is them speaking for something? What percentage of that is answering questions? And what percentage of that is them speaking out against something? And I think if we have a look on that realm, there could be a good benchmark. So when I see the scriptures written and the epistles written, I don't see them being driven by the things they're primarily against. When I read when I read the Gospels, when I read the letters, I see a lot of do this, do this, do this. Oh, and by the way, don't do this because this is harmful for you. Do this, do this. I don't see a ton of railing against Caesar, railing against Rome, railing against these things. I see it, but I don't see it as much. And so I think a church, a ministry, a Christian, my opinion, hot take, should primarily be known by the things we're for, and yes, be known by the things we're against. Josh, if I'm honest with you, it sounds like you are inserting some of this social media outrage porn culture in this need to consistently be pushing back instead of pushing to. Right? You want to always be pushing back, but if you're just pushing back, then you're primarily reactionary. And someone pointed it out, like even my content. Well, what are we pushing to? How do we push people to godly culture? How do we push people to godly living? How do we push people to the kingdom on earth? If we're just speaking out, then we're seldom are speaking to that. So that is what I would say. I don't think that the church's primary role is to give you a talk about how homosexuality is bad every Sunday or every other Sunday, right? I think the church's role is to tell people to repent and believe in Jesus. This is how you live as a follower of Jesus. Here are some things you shouldn't be doing, sexual immorality, right, so on and so forth. And I think when we figure that out, then I just don't see a ton of like hammering down. I mean, think about it. Like even the question of LGBTQ in the scriptures, there's 6 verses or 6 or 8 verses throughout all of the scriptures. Throughout the entire Bible, there's 6 or 8 verses. Now, there's a verse about sexual immorality, but that's more of a junk drawer term, right? Porneia. That's what it is in the original Greek. So there's only like 6 to 8 verses. I think it's 6 throughout all of the Bible. And so it's just bizarre to me when Christians, leaders, pastors, influencers, musicians are being measured by how hard they rail against the scriptures, that the scriptures only rail against, how hard they rail against issues when the scriptures only rail against the said issue 6 to 8 times. I don't know how we reconcile that, right? So why are churches not speaking out and pushing back? I think many are, 1. 2, I think many are in different ways. And then 3, I don't think they're supposed to be primarily known, because if you're just known about what you're against, then you get into really slippery territory where you become the West Barrel Baptist Church, you know? So do we need to speak out? Yeah, we do. Do we always need to be outraged? Like this week alone, think through this. The Chosen is canceled by some Christians and compared to the equivalent of Target and Bud Light, right? And that then by proxy also has Daily Wire canceled because Daily Wire CEO pushed back against the Chosen outrage, and they dug up some old tweet of him congratulating a same-sex couple. So now Daily Wire is canceled. Forget What Is a Woman and all the good work that's done. Now Daily Wire is bad because they're not perfect. They're bad. We got to be careful. Just because someone's not perfect or someone doesn't give the perfect responses and perfect pushback doesn't mean that they're bad. Doesn't mean that they're not good. Doesn't mean the work they're doing is not good. On top of which, we're wrapping up right now. The calls, the lines have been open. On top of which, and then Chick-fil-A is canceled for a promotion they gave 2 years ago. The promotion they gave 2 years ago was someone from within the company that got promoted to the DEI position, which I think those positions are helpful. And so now we're canceling Chick-fil-A. We're canceling. We cancel Bud Light, and which I don't know which of you goobers drinks Bud Light, but you're canceling Bud Light, which is fine. Target, which is fine. I don't care, right? I don't have no problem saying, yeah, I'm not going to shop in Target and let them feel the sting of this for a little bit because I think it was what they did was stupid. But now we're canceling The Chosen for a 3-inch pride flag that was in a 4-second frame, 4 seconds of a video, and we're canceling Daily Wire and we're canceling Chick-fil-A. This is all in the same week, minus the Bud Light thing. What have we done lately to be the hands and feet of Jesus? You know? So that's how I would look at it, man. I think there's a lot of polarization happening, and polarization often leads to monetization. Oftentimes, the people that are most polarizing, they're using it in some way to monetize their content or their agenda, which I'm not mad at. Like, go get your bag too. But we also have to be privy and sharp as people that often outrage fuels something else that everyone's pulling on you, right? So anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Hey, Ruslan, is it bad that I don't want my future to be a stay-at-home wife? Wait. Hey, Ruslan, is it bad that I don't want my future wife to be a stay-at-home mom? I definitely want her to be involved with kids, but I don't want her to stay home forever after they're born. Well, I think, Joshua, you're making a fundamental mistake in assuming that a stay-at-home wife stays home forever, 1. 2, that they don't do anything but stay home with the kids. Usually, they do all kind. My wife volunteers a lot. She works as some contract design work here and there. She helps us out a ton with the business. So I think you have a caricature of what it means to be a stay-at-home mom. That I don't think that's accurate. I think most stay-at-home moms don't just stay at home and twiddle their thumbs and do nothing. Not to mention, who's going to do all the chores? Who's going to do all the laundry? Who's going to clean the house? If that's a value of yours, we like to keep a clean house. Who's going to do that stuff? You or your wife? Or are you guys going to split the chores 50-50? So I think there's a pragmatic side to the whole like stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife thing. Is like, who's going to raise the kids? You're gonna have kids just to pay someone else to raise your kids in childcare? I understand if that's what you have to do, but I think there's a better way to do it that you can build your life in a way where at least for the first 5 to 10 years of the kid's life, your wife has options and flexibility and your kids can be at home when they're 6 months old. I see a lot of Christians seeking. Anyway, hopefully that helps, Joshua. But no, I don't think you're wrong or that it's bad. I think you just probably have not been around in the flesh around couples who have been married for 10, 15 years, who have little kids, and the wife stays at home. I don't think you've done that. And that's where I think that's where it's coming from. I see a lot of Christians that are seeking status and position instead of seeking to serve God humbly. What's your take on working towards accomplishment versus selfish ambition? I think there's nothing wrong with wanting accomplishment and wanting to serve people. I try not to assume people's motives. And so I let people rock out because I don't really know what people are thinking, All right, let me bring in Jay Buddy, and then we're gonna close. Jay Buddy, what up, man? What's your question, my guy?
Yo, what up, Russ?
Hey, thank you for calling in, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, nice glasses. What's your question
for you?
Okay.
I knew you used to be Orthodox, correct?
No, I grew up Armenian Orthodox. Armenian Apostolic. So I was christened as a kid, but I never, as an adult, I never, lived that faith out. I've been Protestant. I have gone back to Armenian Apostolic Church, but more as just like a connecting with my culture type of thing.
I'm thinking about converting to Orthodoxy. I was raised Protestant.
Which arm of the church?
I don't really find any to be like necessarily like better. I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't know too much about it other than, well, I guess, what are your, what would be your cons of it that why I shouldn't?
Well, you gotta be more specific on
All right,
what you
my
mean
bad.
by orthodox. Like, what is the appeal to you, right? So when you say orthodox, like there's multiple
I
arms.
was raised like Calvinist and stuff like that, and
Okay,
I see some Presbyterian to be specific. And I just kind of don't really click with that anymore.
cool. Neither do I.
Um, but so yeah, I kind of liked the I guess the Catholic Church calls it the sacraments, but the Orthodox call it the mysteries. I kind of liked that, like, theology.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Have you looked at the objections to said theology? Like, have you gone down the rabbit hole and said, okay, what parts of Catholic theology are a bit inconsistent with just basic essentials of Christianity? What parts of Eastern Orthodox theology are a bit consistent with what we know to be the plain things and the main things of Christianity? Just so you can get a good balance of both.
Can you ask that again?
Have you looked at the pros and cons of
Have I?
how the Orthodox Church is inconsistent with Scripture?
Um, I found it to be pretty consistent with Scripture. I mean, but I do see, like, I'd say most Protestantism is consistent with Scripture as well. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So here's a couple things to consider, right? And then I got to wrap because I got to run. But the doctrine that priests can't have wives didn't come into effect until after the Great Schism. So in the Catholic Church, right, the papal infallibility that didn't come until 1800s. So you have like specific doctrines in Catholic theology that are like very not in Scripture. Peter had a wife. The apostles had wives. They introduced stuff 1,000 years later that said that priests can't have wives. Papal infallibility wasn't a thing for the first 1,800 years of the church. They introduced that later. I am weary of any camp, including Protestant camps, that introduce doctrines later and that are current beliefs of stuff. So that's something like from the Catholic tradition, right? In the
Do you see
Orthodox,
any of those in the Orthodox?
yeah, they're in their theology. They believe in like in their early creeds and in their early writings, they believe in a substitutionary atonement. But in their practice, they've distanced themselves from substitutionary atonement. So they, for example, have a disconnect of substitutionary atonement. That's one specific thing that comes to mind. So my encouragement to you would be figure out the pros and the cons and really dig deep. And there's a lot of resources. If you DM me on Instagram, I could send you a video that I recently watched with an ex-Orthodox pastor that has transitioned to be, I think he was an Orthodox priest for like 5 years. That transitioned to be a Protestant. And so I would sit with that sort of stuff and just get the best of both sides. A great resource on this is Gavin. He debates a lot of Catholics. He debates a lot of Orthodox, and he's a Protestant. And I could send you his stuff as well. So DM me on Instagram or message me on Patreon, and I'll send you a couple of resources. But that would be my advice: is like just go through the pros and cons, get educated, learn some church history, learn why and when the schisms happened, and then I think you'll be in a better position to embrace whatever it is you're trying to do. I would recommend you stay a Protestant and just find a non-Calvinistic arm of the church that you probably would enjoy much more.
Gotcha. Who you like in the NBA Finals? I know you're a ball fan.
I haven't been watching, my brother. Let me let you go, Jay, buddy. I appreciate you calling in. I actually got to wrap the stream because me and my wife got a jet and drop off some food to Zach's Perazzo tonight. All right, Joe. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully this is fun. We'll do it again, and we will be back. We will be back. All right? Love you guys. Peace.